Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are streaming to you live from multiple places this time, from the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri and Boon Wurrung peoples, as well as the traditional lands of the Gunai Konai peoples. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and I'd also like to extend that respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers who may be tuning in this evening. I'd like to invite everyone briefly to reflect on the fact that sovereignty was never ceded and that we are all still on stolen lands. The ramifications of colonization are indeed ongoing, and it is something that I think is worth reflecting on. So thank you for joining us for the sixth watch party for this summer season of Mapping Melbourne. It's the last one, which is quite sad, but for these past few years, Mapping Melbourne has done an incredible job of showcasing the talent and ingenuity of artists, creatives, and thinkers from the Asia-Pacific region and also Asian Australians. Today, we're premiering two incredible works and we'll be joined by their creators, so you can enjoy the insights that have shaped and led to the birth of these works. A quick shout out to the organizations that have made Mapping Melbourne possible this year, the City of Melbourne, Creative Victoria, and the Australia Council. Also, don't forget, you can leave questions in the chat, and if I see them, I will read them and ask them of our speakers. A quick final note that today has been a hellish day for internet connections across Victoria, it seems, where the speakers and I are all based. If for whatever reason something happens, please excuse us. I will tell jokes / try to be generally charming, and we will try to resume normal programming as best we can. So firstly, can we please welcome Ria and John of the Echoes Project? We will be talking about their work, Sanctuary.
Hi.
Hello. Look at that. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. How are you both going?
Good. Very good, darling.
Wonderful. I love this little ornament. I assume it's an instrument in the background.
Yeah.
What is that?
This is a gong. that actually features in the soundtrack.
Oh, okay. We shall. Let's not talk about that for now. We'll save that for later. Sorry.
Preview. Sorry.
Just love to jump ahead, you know. So maybe I'll start by asking the two of you about yourselves and about the Echoes project. So, I mean, that collective is comprised of an eclectic set of artists, including the two of you. How did all of you come together, and is there a central theme, you know, that unites all of the work that you produce?
It's a pretty loose collective. Jeanette Ho, who is a beautiful dance artist, and I really love making work that relates to very specific sites, usually places that have a very interesting history or connection to natural places. And we made a couple of pieces for mapping Melbourne. One of them was in Chinatown and one of them was in Mission to Seafarers, and they were both just beautiful, very places with very rich stories. And John was invited into that because she's extraordinary storyteller, mover. We're so lucky to have her in Melbourne. And we've included other musicians in that. For example, Ron Reeves, who has spent many years in Indonesia and played, plays so many different instruments, and he's very grounded in I suppose, there's those traditional instruments as well as creating new music. So yeah, it's a very loose collective.
That sounds incredible. Definitely, I don't doubt that all of this kind of creativity buzzing around each other has led to a whole number of incredible works. And John, I hear that you're a very famous, very important, renowned actress in Thailand.
Oh my God!
Would you like to? I heard whispers.
Just a normal and actress that is usually, because I work in theater area. But normally my work is around the, community theater or, the theater for social issue, that kind of style. Yes. And I joined this project, like Ria said, it's very, very loose. And for me, it's just so important because at that time it's the lockdown. Remember, darling? It's the
Yes.
lockdown time. And then, oh my God, many work it got canceled. And then you need to start at home. How going to do? And then when we rang and said that this is have a project that we can probably create something together, I said, yes, Ria, let's do it. We still don't know what we're going to do, but it's like, let's create something out of the lockdown time. Yeah.
Well, it's been a beautiful response to, the circumstances that you found yourselves in, which actually, I mean, let's talk about Sanctuary now. Ria, you talked about how the Echoes project is quite strongly, inspired by people's connection to place. And that's certainly something that's quite strong in Sanctuary, which takes inspiration from John's past in a rural Thai village. Obviously, the audience will get to see that very shortly. But what you've done is you've transposed that setting from the past or from memory into the context of contemporary suburban Australia. Could you tell us the process of devising the work and the journey that you both took in bringing it to life?
Director! Okay. We had a conversation about trees, and maybe a lot of people during lockdown were walking, we were all walking and starting to connect to our local places. And I just suddenly became aware of how many beautiful trees there were, even though, I'm not in the country. And started to talk about that with John. And what was so inspiring with John is that her connection with trees, it's very authentic, and it's really embedded in, the spiritual practice, but it's a very intimate relationship with the trees, like she would talk to trees, and it's just very very real relationship, not like a ritual that you do it the way you were taught to do it. Yeah. So I thought, I would have to make something about that, in East Brunswick, where she walks a lot. So it came out of that conversation. And also one thing she mentioned was a moon fruit tree that she used to play under when she was little. As soon as she told me that story, I just had goosebumps, and felt like, we have to tell that story.
This process, I think the time that I really love is when we agree that we're going to, look around, focus on tree, and then we tell each other, all right, our homework, we need to go to walk on the creek, and then try to pick about 10 our favorite tree and why and what. I walk every day, darling. It's like, right, in the morning, this tree look nice, it's nice. At night time, this tree is spooky, that kind. It's like, it's really fun. You look at the tree in different time of the day, and, they give you a different mood, different feeling, and that kind of thing. Yeah, I really love that process, that time. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, let's not keep the audience in the dark any longer. Let us premiere, excitingly, Sanctuary by the Echoes Project.
Enjoy.
ฉันเกิดที่หมู่บ้านเล็กๆภาคตะวันออกของประเทศไทย I was born in a small village in east of Thailand บ้านเกิดฉันมีแต่ความสนุกสนานโวกเวกโวยวาย My village is so noisy ใต้ถุนบ้านก็เต็มไปด้วยสรรพสัตว์ทั้งหมูทั้งไก่ทั้งควายทั้งหมาโอ้ยเต็มไปหมด Under my house have a chicken pig and buffalo all of animal ตอนย้ายเข้าไปอยู่กรุงเทพใหม่ๆนอนไม่หลับเลยเพราะรู้สึกว่ากรุงเทพโคตรเงียบมาก When I moved to Bangkok I can't sleep at night it seems so quiet พี่หนูตื่นได้แล้วลุกNow I'm living in Australia. This tree take me back to my favorite tree back home. We believe that big and old trees always have the spirit. We respect them and ask for protection. ต้นไม้ต้นเนี้ยทำให้ฉันนึกย้อนไปถึงต้นไม้ที่บ้านเกิด My favorite tree in the village is the moon fruit tree. A small yellow fruit like a full moon and such a beautiful smell. It's a giant tree, huge, can fit all kids in the village under the tree. That's our playground. We would play while we wait for the moon fruit to drop. Will you return to play beneath my canopy? Your breath in my leaves, your breath in my leaves, your lungs, my brand, just your feet, my trunk. When will you return to play in my canopy?
Such an arresting work. Thank you both so much. I mean, obviously, I've seen it already because I had to write the questions, but watching it again, it's just there's really this haunting quality to it, this otherworldly sensibility, and I'm not sure if it's deliberate, but I got kind of senses or like resonances with one of my favorite Thai directors, Apichat Pongwiresi Thakul, this sense of ghostliness, and it's just so beautiful. Thank you. I think we just got a question for a statement rather from Meg Larkin saying this connection with trees should be embedded in all humans. And we were just talking about trees, so perhaps let's kind of pause on that topic. There's a line in the work where John, you say big and old trees always have spirits. What do you both think Western audiences or artists can take from or learn from, Eastern cultures or this sense of Eastern spirituality?
For me, it's like, I think I'm come from like Thailand. That is, we always believe, like I say, when you see the big tree and old tree, that we not just look at that as the tree, but we look at what is the spirit in there, what is what is that we can ask for, and how we can, how we can protect and how we can respect that tree. I think for me, when I come to live in Australia, that is, I feel like Australia is really good in knowledge, in terms of the, what do you call, science, with the tree, with nature and thing. We have a lot of knowledge about that. But in terms of the spiritual side, that is, I didn't see much in here. And only that I can see that from the indigenous people. And I think with the with the scientists and things, it's really good for the knowledge, but it's very dry. It's really dry. But with the tree, that is, it's kind of spiritual. This is like the magical world, and it's, you look at the tree by your heart and your feeling as well. I think it would be good if, if we can combine two things together in terms of this, science and in terms of the spiritual side. Yeah. How about you, Ria?
No, I can't really add to that. That's so beautiful. Yeah.
I definitely, well, I suppose more holism, more embeddedness, I guess, is what we're hinting at here in that note. Such a beautiful sentiment. John, I did want to ask about, the movement components of the work, which are quite, haunting as well. And then there's that quite abstract scene at the end where you encircle the tree with that tapestry with the red on it. I mean, were there specific meanings attached to those movements or those actions that you performed?
Oh, yeah. With the class, because when we're talking together, we want this show is like more like a ritual thing, just to celebrate the nature or the tree, or to apologize what the human did to the tree. And in my, in my culture, for the tree that we think that they have the spirit in there, we always put the cloth, the red cloth or maybe the rainbow cloth around the tree, just to mark for people to know this is the special tree. You cannot cut, if you have the red cross around that one, the one that we put in, you can see in the video, that is, people will know that the symbolic of the spiritual tree. You cannot cut, you cannot say, do the bad thing with the tree. And I think that we want to really transfer that culture that we live in here. It's not just only, by we are very individual, we really connect with the tree. But this kind of thing, it's like to set up the social rule as well. When you see the tree like that, you cannot cut. It's like you preserve the tree anyway for the villager and thing. And another thing is with the with the movement, it's quite abstract thing. I think it's because it's to combine two ideas together. One is with the ritual, and then the second one is with play, because the story is based on the story when I was young and I play under the tree and thing. And Ria just said, all right, John, you try do this, climb up the tree. What did you do when you was young? And then things just come up, and then with the movement thing, it's just improvisation, isn't it? Yeah. That's it.
We just had a beautiful comment here from Daniel Flynn. Amazing the creatives have been able to somehow manage to produce such an astronomically thick silver lining to counteract the incredibly dark events of recent times. Absolutely true. As I've said, I've seen this work before, and I've just seen it again, and I still feel just as gobsmacked as I was. On the topic of combining things, maybe this is more for Ria now. So separate to John's movements and performance components, this work is quite jam-packed with sensorial stimuli. There's narration in Thai and in English. There's singing. There's the instrumentation, and then there's, of course, the rich cinematography. As director, what was the thinking behind, kind of weaving all of these different elements together?
Well, I mean, this is the first time I've made a film. I mean, actually, this was going to be a live performance, and of course, we couldn't do that. And I mean, I come from really a grounding as a musician, so sound is very important to me as a way of creating a world and inviting people into a world. And the instruments that I choose are instruments that I feel we feel very connected to. And they're often instruments that people don't hear very often. They're often instruments that when you're in the same room with them or same space with them, they really, you feel them through your body, like the gong here. Sometimes you feel it through your bones before you even hear it. So I really was wanting to communicate that, share that with people through the film. The one of the instruments, this one here, was made for me last time I was in Indonesia, in West Java, and it's such a great froggy kind of sound. It's called a katak. But it turns up in other cultures. It's probably in the Philippines too. They have a version of it. I love these instruments.
Ooh, I think we've lost Ria and John there. That's okay. We will revisit both of you. We will come back to you at the end, and hopefully we can sort out this internet issue that I have forewarned you in the audience about. Well, I mean, now we may as well proceed to the second half of our evening. Let us welcome Mindy Meng Wang, an incredible composer and guzheng performer.
Hello.
Hi, Mindy.
Hi.
Sorry for the sudden call-in.
Hi.
Just thought I'd exploit the moment of tech trouble and use it as a transition. How are you?
Actually, I was a bit shocked because it was all working well, and then suddenly when I hear you call my name, it just stopped, and I was like, "What's going on?" Yeah.
The internet is just testing us today. I do want to comment briefly that I am having hair envy seeing your luscious locks. I also have hair, obviously, but mine is tied up, and I don't think mine is that long. So, you are winning the hair battle.
Well, you can catch up,
I'll do my best. So the work that we're premiering in just a few moments is Mother, and it chronicles your experience of being separated from your mother during COVID-19. What inspired you, to be so brave and take on such a vulnerable personal work?
I think there's many reasons to that. At the beginning of lockdown, I've heard so many stories from friends and family, and even from news, because I read Chinese news, I would read English news, and I really felt like there's so many people are frustrated, and how many stories have happened, but not being heard, or not all of them being heard. So I just started having idea of using music to tell some stories, especially, for example, all the stories that actually happened in China. When I was watching I was watching a documentary made by BBC from England about what happened in Wuhan, how people have fought this battle together. It really touched me, and I thought, okay, how come even, I'm a Chinese and I have no idea that happened if I wasn't watching BBC. And so I thought, okay, the stories are actually, they don't travel that well. And all you hear is most of the things, we watch news usually are bad news, So I just want to tell some personal stories, and I want to make people feel like, I want people to feel like we are the same, no matter where you come from. When it's come to love, when it's come to family, when it's come to life, we are all actually same. So, yeah, this is I think then I start to think about it. Okay, the first story I want to tell is probably my own story, because I have the COVID really challenged the relationship between me and my mom, because she has been locked on all by herself in China, and I was so worried about her, and it really made me to reflect on this complex relationship between me and her, how we love each other but not be able to tell each other. even when we're together, actually, we don't say things because it's not Chinese. We don't say "I love you." So it really made me reflect on this because, many moments I would think about what if something happens. I couldn't even travel to China because of the borders closed, and it made me think about a lot of things. And I think that's the inspiration and the reason why I start with this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Such a brave, no, definitely. So brave to almost compensate for the lack of, personal stories that we've been hearing throughout this, really saturated impersonal period of information giving. And then you're trained in Guzheng, which is a Chinese harp, which is thousands of years old, very traditional. And you've also worked both as a performer and as a composer quite prolifically in a lot of countries, including the UK, Ireland, Spain, France, elsewhere. What motivates your creative practice?
Well, I guess the complexity of my life motivates that. Let's say that. Well, because when I was really young, I was trained on this instrument with a master in China. And I got really good at that at a very young age. And then I went to England to study composition. And then soon I realized the difference between Eastern and Western culture. And one thing I noticed that actually really made me struggle, but also motivated me a lot, is about my instrument. Guzheng is a traditional Chinese musical instrument. It has about 2,500 years of written history. So it's very traditional that it only has 5 notes in every octave in the traditional tuning, pentatonic, which actually really limits the music you can play. And I was just thinking my whole life, maybe up until now, my music life is about how to liberate this musical instrument with my knowledge of Western music system, because it's essentially octave is octave. Why we have 5 notes and on piano you have 12 notes? So my work has always been able to bring new things to this instrument and modernize that and border the repertoire, give new tuning, invent different kind of playing skills, including bowing the string, which never happens for the traditional players. So I think what motivates me is like it's a beautiful instrument, and I want to be the one to bring it to different places and to introduce to people and make it easy for other people to actually get to know it. Because if it just stays in China, or if it just stays in one style of music, you can't reach to all the audience. I really want to bring that to everyone and to everywhere. I think that's what motivates me.
Oh, that's such a commendable, inspiring mission. I look forward to hearing more of your work generally, but also specifically in Mother, which I suppose now is a good time to premiere. A quick note, quick request from Mindy, that if you have earphones or headphones handy, please do put them on now, just before we play the film, because it is best experienced with the closeness of that kind of technology. Enjoy, everybody. This is Mother.
有时候想我女孩想着我就想哭，因为我到现在我已经将近快2年没有见女儿了。
在教堂外向空中开枪，并大喊“杀了我”。这个包属于这名枪手。
The shooter is somebody with a gun, and people were.
我有时候自己静下来想，我老了怎么办？可能这个日子也不会太长。妈妈，我特别想。有时候困惑的很，这个疫情到底要陪伴我们多长时间呀？哎呀，就好像怎么觉得好像这个心这1-2年老是安稳不下来，就觉得好老是有担忧，不是女儿担忧我，便是我担忧他们。你说我跟女儿说妈好想你啊，我说我都快2年没见过你了。她说妈我也想你。我说我们俩多会能见面啊？她说妈我也不知道。
Such a heartbreaking piece, Mindy. Thank you so much for creating it.
Thanks. I actually watching it make me feel like, oh, it's kind of like, you know, the film is actually made by a friend, also a filmmaker in China in my hometown, and the film actually the first part is about my mom's just life, you know, very real. He just went in, shoot everything, and then second part was actually how I would travel to home from airport. So when I say how the road bend, we passed the mosque and we passed that building, I know it's actually I'm getting closer and closer to home. It's a thing that actually happened in my dream many times in 2020. Yeah, it's really, I guess this is a, you know, one thing that I was actually a bit of scared of making this work because it's very private. Like I've never done such a private work, you know, my feeling about my mom, and it's not only about separation. We have a very complex relationship because I left home. I went to England when I was 16, and I lived half of my life abroad. And for her memory actually always stuck with, you know, when I was young and what's that like. And then I think it always has been a bit of shock for her that I became a completely different person from her expectation. So we do have a, you know, when we are together, it's difficult, but we all know we love each other. But this kind of like the distance is not only physical, but sometimes it's mental, but it's not there. You know, we love each other to death, but just there's something stopped us to express ourselves well to each other. And I think that's another thing I was reflecting on last year. Why is this? You know, why sometimes we find it so difficult to tell what we want to tell to the closest person? And why it's difficult? You know, like that. I think sometimes we all are scared of showing emotions and feelings, but last year make me feel like, you know, we really should be more brave about this, to break the habits. I don't even know what it is. Well, I thought, like, you know, I'll be glad in the future that I've done this work. That really encouraged me to do this. It's difficult.
No, but if the comments that we've just received now are anything to go by, you know, with people celebrating not just the beauty of the work, but some even saying that it feels very resonant for them, this sense of distance, this connection from parents. I have to say, I'm very surprised to hear that we had very similar upbringings, where I left Manila when I was 15, and my parents and I also have a fraught relationship. Anyway, this isn't about me. I'm just saying, I think perhaps non-verbally I understood what you were conveying without you conveying it, but now hearing that clarification from you explicitly, that was part of the thematic thread of that work, it's quite moving, definitely. So thank you. We are swiftly running out of time, so I think we might bring Ria and John back for a group chat this time. Hopefully the internet is kind to us. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back. We are nearing the end, so hopefully the internet cooperates with us this time around. So thank you both. Thank you all of you for these two incredible pieces, which, you know, while they're quite different in terms of tone and in terms of content, there are also strong resonances between them in terms of, you know, their preoccupations with place, with disconnection, with longing. As we now kind of near the end, maybe I'll just go with a very simple question, which is, what can we expect next from all of you? now that we're putting Mapping Melbourne to rest?
Rhea, go first.
Okay. Well, John is such a great live performer, and Jeanette, and we would really love to explore Sanctuary as a live performance. Our live performances for the Echoes project are, I guess, kind of a contemporary ritual. So for us, that means usually there has to be food. There has to be humor, and we'd love to explore an outdoor performance, with going back to that tree, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's looking like outdoor performances are a bit more doable at the moment.
These days?
Yeah.
Crossing your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Leah what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you, Mindy?
This Mother is just one story of a series of story that actually inspired about the people's emotions during COVID. So this show, actually, I can't tell you which one yet, but it has been commissioned by an Australian festival. Then it will definitely become a live show, and there will be like the visual elements to that, since I'm already making the films about it. And also next year I'll be working on another project that leading to a live show, which involved artificial intelligence and music. So it will be quite futuristic. We're gonna work on a program can read people's mind and transform that mind wave into music and interact with live musicians. So that's something, I'm gonna work on as well. And another thing I was just gonna say, me and Rhea both are in a project with Jeanette, which happens to gonna come out like next, and we're working on that to bring that to a live show as well. So so I guess that's one of a couple of things I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it seems that all the great minds do work together. And I do wish to thank you all again for your generosity in sharing your thoughts and feelings with us this evening. And definitely a massive thank you for your inspiring, really moving contributions to Mapping Melbourne. I hope you both have a good evening. And then while I bid everybody farewell, I'd like to remind you that you can rewatch the works again if you would like, which I really encourage that you do on the Mapping Melbourne website. Don't forget Mindy's request to please put on headphones. And in fact, I feel that you should do that request as well for Sanctuary, which is also quite rich musically. A big thank you again to our funding partners, City of Melbourne, Creative Victoria, and the Australia Council. And make sure you tune back in next week. On Wednesday, we will be premiering Agak Agak by the infamous, the person that's been talked about this evening, Jeanette Hull, alongside the Centre for the Peace Centre for New Geography by Vic Chu and Ready Steady. Have a good evening, everybody. Take care.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Eat, go eat.